Alright, hello and welcome. This is part 1 to What If Female Deku Was King Ghidorah. Now, I'm doing this because it had been requested before, and I'm doing this as like a little gift for a friend of mine whose favorite monster from the Godzilla franchise was King Ghidorah. So, this is basically a what if for you and them. You guys and them. Now, I want to cover a few things. This Ghidorah one will be sort of like a mix of MonsterVerse and the anime version of Ghidorah from Planet Eater. Second, she will be the daughter of Ryuko from Ryuko, the dragon hero. So we'll start the story now. So basically, in this timeline, Hisashi. This is before Hisashi had met and married Inko. He basically had one night, one night of passion with Ryuko, and the next day he was just gone, with Ryuko immediately finding out that, well, she was pregnant with a child due to her basically knowing this. Now Hisashi is like I said, Hisashi is currently dating Inko right now, and he kept that secret, and so did Ryuko. Because Ryuko isn't really the type of person to divulge that type of information. As during Ryuko's pregnancy, she'd basically be reading stories to the child that is inside her stomach right now. As we will then cut to about the I'll say we'll get to the 5 month mark. As a lot of pro heroes have noticed that Ryuko's stomach has gotten larger, as basically some of the pro heroes will basically be pressing information out of her, mainly like the top 5 heroes. As Ryuko would basically explain that she is currently pregnant and is carrying a child right now, but she doesn't know who the father is, because during that night, both Hisashi and Ryuko were very drunk. So Ryuko does not know who the father is, and Hisashi doesn't know that Ryuko is pregnant. As Endeavor's basically thinking that if this child ends up having a powerful quirk, I can get them to marry one of my kids. Actually, he's thinking once my masterpiece is born, I can arrange a quirk marriage with Ryuko so they can produce a offspring more powerful than them both. As All Might basically congratulating Ryuko on her pregnancy, as he'd say that she should probably go into temporary retirement during her pregnancy for her safety and her child's. As Ryuko would understand this, and knowing that if she keeps on active hero duty, the child's going to be in danger, she basically she then goes into temporary retirement as the pros, as the top 5 pro heroes would say that she's currently on vacation right now. As Ryoko would basically be doing the same thing that she's been doing for the past 5 months for the rest of her pregnancy. Which is when we get to the day where our protagonist is being born. Now, during the time Izumi is being born, there's basically yellow lightning that has been striking the ground, as meteorologists would notice that there is a typhoon forming over a specific area of Japan, as yellow lightning is currently striking the ground. Around the hospital, as 2 black holes, wormholes, would open up in the sky, as lightning would continue to strike down. As these 2 dragon heads, these 2 right here, the shadowy ones, would begin to come out from the wormholes. As they're letting out the ghidorah roar. And for those of you who don't know what that sounds like, just give me a minute. Alright, as they're producing this sound, so the 2 heads were letting out those sounds as they were coming through the portal. As everybody would look up into the sky and see these 2 giant, what appear to be dragon heads, would come out of the sky, basically blaring those sounds. At this time, there was another baby born, and this baby's name was Rodan. Why? Because I can't think of a better name. The Rodan would hear this, and immediately it'd get his attention. Now, due to him being a baby, he can't do much, but he does look in the direction of where that sound is coming from. As the dragon heads are getting closer and closer to the hospital, they begin to phase through the walls and the ceiling of the hospital until they end up reaching the room where Ryoko is and where Izumi is being born. And once Izumi is born, the dragon heads immediately lurch into there, as they look like they're about to attack people. As Ryoko would quickly realize that these things weren't here to harm any of them, but they will harm them if her daughter isn't calmed down. As Ryoko would ask the doctors to pass her to her, as the doctor would immediately would pass Izumi, her daughter, over to Ryoko, as Ryoko would begin to comfort her daughter, which she names Izumi. As the 2 dragon heads would see that Ryoko means no harm to her, as they'd immediately begin to retract and head back into the portals. Basically reporters come out. Hold on. Sorry about that. As basically members of the press and reporters are basically demanding to know why there were 2 dragon heads letting out a loud, screeching sound into the sky. As the doctors would then say that it was due to a child's quirk, which we don't know how it manifested at such a young age, but it did happen. As the reporters would ask who's the parent of the child, as the hospital said that they will not disclose that information due to private matters. Now leave before we call the police. As the reporters would end up leaving, as Ryuko would basically thank the hospital, the doctors, for not disclosing that it was her kid, as the hospital would say that it was her privacy, and the reporters should respect that. As Ryuko thanked the doctors, as a couple days later, she'd end up leaving the hospital with her beautiful baby girl named Izumi. And that is where I'm going to leave this part off. I do hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time.